What if you combined elements from the movies Mean Girls, Heathers, and Fight Club, and then sprinkled in a little chimera action from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for good measure? Well, you'd get a pretty close approximation of what this book is like. Bunny by Mona Awad is a book that will definitely have you asking, what the hell did I just read? The vibe of this book could be described as a surreal horror comedy dressed up in glitter and pastel colors. We're introduced to our protagonist, Samantha Mackey, who is at an extremely prestigious Ivy League school called Warren University in the MFA program for writing. The program is very difficult to get into and also very expensive, but luckily Samantha was able to get in on a scholarship. While Samantha is grateful to be in the program, she also feels like an outsider. Most of her peers are the typical rich Ivy League trust fund kid who comes from generational wealth. Because of this, she tends to be a loner except for her one friend. Samantha met a girl named Ava who isn't a student at the school but lives locally in town. Ava could be summarized as a true punk girl. She's anti-authority, anti-establishment, always wearing black and fishnets, but she and Samantha quickly form a tight bond, and Samantha even ends up living with Ava at her place. But this is a surreal horror story, so we are also introduced to the main source of conflict and tension, a group of girls that Samantha not so lovingly refers to as the Bunnies. The Bunnies are an extremely tight clique of 4 girls that are Samantha's cohort in her writing workshop. The way the narrative describes the Bunnies is wonderful and anxiety-inducing. They are almost described as one creature with 4 heads, hair done to perfection, nails always painted bright, dressed in beautiful and expensive clothes. The girls are always together, hugging each other tightly and always calling each other Bunny, as in, "Oh, I loved your story, Bunny." "Bunny, let's get coffee later," and "Bunny, I missed you so much during the break." The writing workshop consists of the 4 bunnies and Samantha. While the bunnies are around, there's always a little bit of tension, and while they may be saying one thing to Samantha, it always seems like the bunnies are somehow wordlessly communicating something much darker to each other at the same time. The story truly takes a turn when the bunnies decide to take an interest in Samantha and invite her to a special get-together they call Smut Salon. Despite knowing better, she can't help herself. Even though she hates the bunnies, there is still a drive and yearning to be accepted and to fit in with her cohorts. Soon, Samantha finds herself regularly participating in workshops at the bunnies' houses, workshops in which they conjure half-human and half-animal creatures. All while in the background, Samantha is getting sucked deeper into the cult-like clique of the bunnies, and she abandons her only true friend, Ava. That's all I'll say about the plot, so I don't spoil anything. There's so much more to read and experience, and what I've covered so far is just the basic setup of the story. The writing is really unique, and I thought it was really wonderful. All of the descriptions are super interesting, especially the descriptions around the bunnies. You can practically taste the sugary, sweet exaggeration of their baked good perfumes, and your eyes will strain from their oversaturated colors. I felt like the prose was kind of similar to the style of Haruki Murakami. There was a strong sense of magical realism woven throughout the entire narrative. The city, the school, the houses were depicted as real places, but they all felt a little off and almost like living creatures themselves. Strange and seemingly impossible things will happen, and they are just accepted as reality, as if things like that happen every day and you're the crazy one for not knowing that. There are some extremely interesting themes explored in this story, one of them being female friendships and bullying. I think this book does a wonderful job of portraying the intimacy and closeness of a strong friendship between 2 women, and on the other side of that coin does just as good of a job of showing the horror, uncertainty, and brutality of female bullying. I've had friends tell me what it was like to be harassed and bullied by other girls in high school, and while I'll never truly know what that feels like, I think this book gives you an excellent peek into that world. The book also explores the differences between the male gaze and the female gaze, as well as sexual identity and orientation. The friendship between Samantha and Ava is beautiful, intimate, confusing, and tragic all at the same time, and the bunnies make things even messier. Overall, I really enjoyed Bunny. The world and the characters were super interesting, and the book wastes no time getting you immersed within them. The book has a real magical surrealism vibe mixed with some body horror and social horror. It did leave me feeling a little confused and unsettled at the end, but in a way that was fitting to the story. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, then you should check out Bunny by Mona Awad.